3 into the 4. Easy motherfucking E with the chrome to your dome. Cruising in my 6'4" rag top. I got a lot of juice, a lot of fucking block. Now when I hit that switch, I'm bouncing. More bounce to the ounce and I'm pounding. Keep the gat in my lap cause I'm fully strapped for the carjackers. But no haps cause I pack up Tech 9 plus a AK-47. Send the one-way ticket to my hell or maybe heaven. Peep, nigga, I don't sleep. Bury motherfuckers in the concrete. You try to creep kinda slow in the Astro, but I peep you niggas out in my left window. So I blast and I blast, so I blast no more. Yo, they call a motherfucker John Doe.
Never since a nigga was a seed, only thing promised to me was the penitentiary. Still ballin', riding on these niggas cause they lame. In a 6'1" Chevy, still heavy in this game. Can you feel me? Blame it on my mama, I'm a thug nigga. Up before the sun rise, quicker than the drug dealers. Tell me if it's on. Nigga, then we first the bomb bust on these bitch made niggas. Sit 'em up, west side. Ain't nobody love me as a broke nigga. Finger on the trigger, Lord forgive me if I smoke niggas. I let my female strap. The fucker from the back, I get my currency in stacks. California's where I'm at. Ride, pass by, why these niggas wonder why I got shot but didn't die. Let me see.
Welcome to episode 4, Madden 17, the Madden Scrubs podcast. We got Wici as our special guest and D Waters co-hosting. We're gonna kick it off with the Get to Know Wici segment. Dave, I know Wici is one of your favorite people to play in Madden, so I'm gonna let you go first as far as asking them questions.
All right, I guess we'll go with the standard get to know question. When did you start playing Madden? And to add a little bit, what was the first Madden you really got good?
Well, you know what? I started playing Madden. I was thinking about this in the car ride here. I started playing Madden when I was really little, right? And my family and friends, they'd play it. The first Madden that I actually have memory of, that I actually really got into, and it wasn't just casual, would probably be Madden 08. There with Vince fucking Young, that guy. But I remember that vividly because I believe that was the same year Halo 3 came out, and I think it was my sister's boyfriend bought Halo 3, and I had Madden NFL 08, and I would skip school and wake up early in the morning to play Madden NFL 08, and actually my 360 got the Red Rings of Death, and I sent away Madden 08 inside the console before taking it out. And that was a sad day. But Madden 08 was a really shitty game. But that was probably the first Madden that I have a very clear memory of. I was like, 12, 11. I started getting good at Madden, I would say, or slightly competitive at the game, probably with Madden. Probably like Madden 25, I want to say. I think I have quite a few online games at Madden 25. So around then. Pretty recent.
That's cool. Wici, how did you develop your defensive style? It seems different than almost anybody I played in Madden, to the point where I started copying and mimicking some of the stuff you do with your safeties. How did you develop that?
Well, actually, I started playing CFM last year. Madden Scrubs was the first CFM I joined. And so for me, I found out that, a lot of to have success, especially on defense, you're going to have to, have the ability to, throw the other guy off, right? And so, what better way to do that than just these kind of odd I had, spoiler alert, I show blitz almost every single defensive play, or, I'm not in base align. I'm almost never in base align if you watch, me play. So I'm just trying to make people feel uncomfortable. Make people force plays, which sometimes it worked a lot better. I think in last Madden, it works sometimes this Madden, but as my user gets better, it's actually becoming a lot more potent. But pretty much just I saw that people who did different things were better, and so you get the whole mental aspect of why the fuck is the safety on the defensive line and he's not blitzing, and sometimes he does blitz them, and so just trying to throw people off and ultimately I guess get in their heads there.
Yeah, I'm sure ATL knows all about getting to the head part.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what it's all about.
That's kind of the same. Billy does sort of the same thing, and that's why I have trouble against both your defenses, is because I'm so used to reading a normal defense.
Yeah, and actually, I traditionally always played, when I played franchise mode offline, I always sim the defense. Like I've hated defense always in Madden, and so for me, moving those guys around is it's fun. Finding out that like how Billy puts the linebackers in purple zones and those switches that you can do and pressing and then playing the guys underneath. That's fun. It makes defense fun, and so I guess that's another reason why I do that.
All right, well, to move away from Madden a little bit, so it's no secret that you're a big Lions fan, and I heard you did some sort of favors for Jungle Cat to get the Lions. Are you a Detroit fan for all sports, or is it just the Lions? I think I remember you saying you moved down to Texas.
Yeah, so I'm a Detroit sports fan. Unfortunately, I could give a fuck less about hockey, but I guess I'll root for the Red Wings. But yeah, I'm actually from Northeast Ohio, so I grew up, was born in Mayfield Heights, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I was raised. My stepdad actually is a huge Lions fan, so I grew up going to games. Grew up in Lions gear, and I was kind of adopted into the Sadness Factory there. So
They're not that bad, right?
Historically, they're pretty fucking shit, but luckily,
Yeah.
The Pistons were pretty good when I was younger, and I was in the basketball, so they won championship there, and so there were some things that kept me in, but it's been hard. I'm a young guy, but it's been pretty tough. And you're an Eagles fan, so
Yeah, you were there for 0-16, so
I was Sunday ticket.
Understand that
to
pain.
all the games.
So, Wici, you're in college, and I think we all love living vicariously through your college experiences. Why don't you tell us a little bit, like what year you're in college, what you're majoring in, and what are some of the crazy things that have happened since you've been in college?
Well, I go to University of Houston. I'm a sophomore. My major, that's a good question. I'm actually a geology major, but right now I'm taking business classes looking to transfer into the business college, which I think most colleges are like this, especially public schools that are larger. Transferring into business colleges is fucking terrible. It's just, so much fucking red tape, and I have a headache. But fuck transferring into business college. But something I'm trying to do. There's a certain program I'm trying to get into, so certain GPA requirements. So I'm a geology major looking to transfer into my business college here at University of Houston. To be honest with you, I'm not a crazy guy. I have been in a relationship most of my college years so far, which I'm my second year, so that's not that long of a time. But as far as going out and partying, I don't do it a lot. I mostly just stay in. Now I work, so it's like I work, hang out with my girlfriend, and sometimes she brings an extra friend around, and then that's pretty much it. There's really not a lot of craziness in my life, to be honest with you.
Now, have you gotten to hang out with any of our other scrub members that are in that area?
I have not. I know that Squishy and Jocks, they live pretty close to me. Jocks works at Rice, which is like right down the street. I live on campus here at UH. So no, I have not, but it's definitely in the works.
Yeah, I think I'll probably be back in the area eventually too, so it'll be a shit show experience.
I hope so.
So so you did, to bring it back to Madden again. So you did trade into the NFC North when we allowed trades. Do you regret taking your Lions and coming into the North, switching with Jungle Cat, or are you happy where you are?
Yeah, not at all. I don't regret it at all. I think there was really no reason. I didn't switch in. Honestly, I just wanted the Lions. It wasn't about you or Jocks, even though So I follow Jocks around in a lot of leagues, and so I kind of I went to the NFC North just for the Lions. Not for you or Jocks, but or A Walker for that matter. But no regrets, I guess.
Well, I know our division is happy to have you out. It's hard enough with Jungle Cat there.
I was hoping Jungle Cat would stay in my division for sure. Sorry, Jungle Cat.
The Lions this year, you think they're going to make the playoffs, or what do you think is going to happen when the regular season wraps up in the NFL?
Well, the Lions are. I've never seen a team implode like the Lions. So many years there where the first half of the season goes so well, and they just can't get it together. But I do think this team the talent is there to make the playoffs. and it looks like in the NFC North, no one gives a fuck. So, you know, I think they're going to make the playoffs just because of this. I think they're in a very good situation. The rest of the season, it's actually a pretty tough stretch of games. I just, from off the top of my head, we end the season in with Green Bay and Detroit, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, I mean, I do think they are on the right track to make the playoffs, but if anyone can fuck it up, it's definitely the Detroit Lions.
Well, and the NFC seems so wide open this year. I mean, of course, the Seahawks are playing pretty good, but they don't look like, you know, the Seahawks of old.
Oh, right. You're right.
I see kind of some similarities between the Lions and the Eagles a lot of the times. I mean, it's kind of two cities that don't exactly have the best reputation. Every week the Eagles play, I'm like, I have no idea if we're going to win or lose this game. It could be the Eagles that came out and kicked the snot out of the Steelers. It could be the Eagles that lost to the Redskins any given week. So it's frustrating as a fan to have those inconsistencies, and then those late game season collapses. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, and I mean, all the Lions games have been fourth quarter comebacks, all their wins. So it's like we could be sitting here at 0 and whatever the fuck. So it's like, yeah, no, it's scary. It's very anxiety filled.
So, Wiki, we're going to be recording a history of Madden Scrubs podcast here pretty soon. You know, you've been in Scrubs for pretty much as long as as the other members that have been here since the beginning. What are some of your favorite moments over the past year and a half, 2 years of Madden Scrubs?
That's a good question. There's a lot of stories to tell. I think my favorite moment, or at least like, my favorite moment has to be when I was kicked from the league. That was just so fucking funny to me because like I don't know, I know I was definitely like pushing the envelope there with my spins and juke moves and everything, but I mean I was just kicked. Like I tend to just kind of sit in that end game before it says like exit game. I'll sit there for a while and just go on my phone or whatever. And when I hit exit game, like 5 or 10 minutes later, it was like I was no longer in the league, and like nothing was loading up, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, and then the following sequence of events there with Marty, it was just, I don't know, it was just funny, but I was actually really pissed because I was like, okay, come on, like, you know, I understood the rule and the ruling, and I did not celebrate. I did not, press LT and A. And even if I did, it would have been inappropriate because I was, going to be scoring. I wasn't in the middle of the field like I got in trouble for the last time. But anyway, when Marty kicked me, that was hilarious.
So he kicked you before like you even had a chance to exit the game?
Yeah, I exited the game and it was like, you're not in this league anymore.
That's crazy. So that means that he did it even before he brought it up to us, like in commissioner chat.
Oh, I was, and I wasn't in Slack either. I was.
Yeah, I remember that. We're all like, wait, what happened to Wiki?
I still don't know. I still don't know how to boot people in Slack. I'm so Slack stupid.
Well, that's good.
That's what you got us here for.
Yeah, I remember that. That was kind of crazy. I remember Zan DM'd me and was like, so Wiki just got kicked. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, pretty sure Marty did it. And then just like the walls fell down.
Well, and then afterwards, when he got removed as a commissioner, and he fucking messages me, he says something along the lines of like, I guess you got what you wanted. And I didn't tell you guys anything. I was just like, someone removed me from the league right after I played Marty. I would like to be back in the league. Like I didn't wish anything on him or anything. I was just like kind of pissed, but I thought it was funny. He thought I was pulling some strings over there, but
yeah, you mentioned that in that chat last night, and that was the first time I had ever heard about that. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, that's definitely going to be covered. I'm sure the whole Marty saga will be covered in that podcast, along with all the other catfishes we've had in the league.
All the other sagas. That's a good way to describe it too, a saga.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, it's really interesting. I've been doing these CFM leagues for, I don't know, maybe 4 years now. In any long-term league I've been in, it hasn't been to the level of Scrubs with some of the crazy silliness we've seen, but every league has it and goes through it. I think it's just whenever you stick 32 strangers, or the majority of the people are strangers together from the internet, you're bound to have some interesting people pop up.
Yeah, especially, I mean, as you get into the league longer, I mean, people kind of get to know you, and so it's less like it's anonymous. When you first join, you're just an anonymous person, and that really brings out the worst in people sometimes.
And I think what we've seen, at least in Scrubs, is when these younger guys get in, they tend to be the ones that like to exaggerate their stories, or tend to be a little odd to maybe try to fit in, or what have you. And of course, most of the time they lie about how old they actually are, and then it kind of tumbles down from there, which is interesting because I mean, our cards user, that Keyshawn, is more mature than like some of the older players in our league. So you never really know. It's not a an always truth, but that seemed to be the case in the past so far.
No, you're right. The fucking Keyshawn, not cards, but the old
Key fish.
Keyshawn. Fucking God, the guy with the Asian MILFs, and no, definitely the computer programmer. Fuck, so many good stories.
But what I always wonder, what I find more interesting, and I don't know why, but I always wonder how many of those people have snuck their way back into the leagues we play in, and we just have no idea. Because it happens or has happened. I mean, we know at least
sure.
one who tried and did it very poorly. But it's got to happen. I have a feeling or Wiki, you're still an X-Bomb. I have a feeling that at least one of our new members in there is somebody who's either been in here or there before that's been kicked. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up the getting to know Wiki segment. I feel like we learned a good bit about him. We were able to kind of go through some of the history in the league and his history with Madden and all that good stuff. So next, not too long ago, Wiki got his first win against our very own D Waters, a.k.a. David, the Outlaw, and Wiki was promised his own segment. So next we're going to move on to that segment, and Wiki's bringing back a promo segment where he's going to call a couple people out.
I just want to start off by saying, D Waters, I have your number. You are never going to beat me again. I'm going to promise this right here on this stage that the dominance of the Tom Herman's Detroit Lions is going to continue. And next year, I think you're going to have a very hard time in the NFC North. And, if I were you, I might even want to just leave the team. I might even just want to leave the league and come back as someone else, because there's no chance you even come close to beating me. Like I said, I have your number. So yeah, that's how you should feel. I also want to call out Canada because he's Canadian and he also speaks French, which is questionable. And and that's it for calling people out. I just wanted to say fuck Dave Waters. And
you heard it, guys.
By 3, right? It was only 3. You do understand that, right?
A win's a win.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up Wiki segment. We're going to move on to the award segment that D Waters has worked on, and we're going to go through some of the guys that we want to highlight. They're going to take home the awards this year. Most of these awards are pretty much set in stone. There's a couple that could change between now and the end of the season. I'm going to let D Waters kick it off and let us know who he's picked to highlight.
All right. Well, so I'm going to start with the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. For a while, I had my quarterback and my running back up there leading the race, but I think it's settled now in favor of the Bucs running back. We actually play this week, and there's a couple more games, but right now he's 200 yards ahead of me, and only one touchdown, and I only have one more touchdown. But he's averaging almost an additional yard per carry on me. He's at 5.6, and I'm at 4.8 yards per carry. So I think he's probably going to have this one locked up, which is unfortunate. I think my run game, my whole offense actually slipped a little bit, so that's disappointing. But Bucs might have his Drico again, which is bad for the entire league.
I know I highlighted your rookie in a couple podcasts ago. I really thought that he was a shoe-in for that award earlier in the season.
I had a couple tough games, but I mean, Bucks just kind of came out of nowhere with all these stats. I don't know where he was in the beginning of the year or what he was doing, but all of a sudden he has 1,300 rushing yards in the season. Maybe he had a soft schedule, but we'll see. We actually play, so that might be a deciding factor if I can hold him and have a breakout game.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. I mean, Bucks is one of those guys that I feel like everybody underestimates until he wins the Super Bowl for the 4th year in a row.
Right. Feel the same way.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know why it's like that, but I guess because we spent so much of our Madden season focusing on retro and who beats him and who does, But I don't know. I feel like the NFC is definitely, the pendulum has swung towards the NFC, and now the NFC guys are getting a little more respect, which is definitely fair. I'll jump into some of the guys I highlighted. It's probably not too hard to guess who. This is basically just a roster bait segment for me. So I highlighted who's going to be the AFC Defensive Player of the Year. It's DeAndre Foley, the rookie on the Jags. He's got 22 sacks, 47 tackles, 7 tackles for a loss, 6 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 touchdown. He's also in line to win the Defensive Lineman of the Year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was my second pick in the first round. I took my wide receiver Frost, I think, first, and then took him 3 picks later, maybe at 11. He's turned out to be really good. Part of his success has really just been scheme, because he's so fast he can get off the edges when I blitz in the middle. But he does have 99 block shed and 95 finesse move, I think, now. And I've gotten his strength up to 80. I'm hoping at the end of the year to get that up to 85, 86. Let him go from there. But he needs 1 more sack to break the single season record. So I'm hoping that'll give him a little more XP. Hopefully he can get that with 2 games left. The next guy I focused on was the guy who's going to win the AFC Running Back of the Year. It's Ty Gurley. For some reason, this seems to be a guy in every Madden that bounces around a little bit and then finds a home and does really well. No different this season. He's got 1,318 yards rushing, and he's averaging a little over 5 yards per carry with 15 touchdowns, 1 fumble, and 34 broken tackles, which I thought was really impressive. So he's having definitely a breakout year. So that's who I picked. Wici, who did you pick?
So I looked at the NFC Defensive Rookie of the Year race, and now I know he's first. But this guy Keelan Forbes for the Bucks there is 6'2" safety. I don't know where he plays strong safety, but this guy he has 8 interceptions, 93 speed, and 93 acceleration, which I find that I have this guy TJ Green, who you guys might be familiar with. He's pretty cheese there, and he's kind of the same, I guess, built in the same kind of mold as TJ Green there. He could be a little taller, but with that acceleration, the agility is not that great, but just the acceleration and the speed. He's got great zone coverage. Don't know what it is off the top of my head, but those 8 picks and just when I played him, he's definitely like a game changer. I feel like this Madden, I think these speedy safety, these TJ Green, these even kind of Tyrann Mathieu, a little shorter, but those guys I feel like are really important, especially if you're using them. They can be very, very big game changers. And so yeah, I just want to jack off Keelan Forbes for a second, but yeah, that's my guy.
Look at the goo.
And you brought up Gurley, ATL, so I think the MVP race got real interesting once Cam Newton got hurt. Cam's been sliding down because he's been out, and Gurley's back up there, and then Rawls and Bortles are, I think, the 2 that are actually fighting for the top spot. So I don't even know how that's going to finish. New Giants has come in and really established a run on that Giants team.
Yeah, Browns or Canada is doing everything humanly possible to try to steal that award. He's right on the cusp of breaking the rules for yardage, but he's staying within the rules. But he's really doing what he can to try to take that award and get that XP for Bortles.
Yep, although he's not going to have a good game week 17, I can tell you that.
Are you guys playing week 17?
Yeah, I played Bucks 16 and Browns 17.
Damn, that's gonna be a big game because he could be in line for the bye week. It's either going to be me, him, or Tits. So
Yeah.
we'll see. And all of us have pretty hard games the last two games. One of the two games are should be hard for all three of us. So we'll see how that shakes. Poor Tits has to play me and then Retro, so he's probably got the toughest one out of that. So we'll see how that works out. All right, guys. Well, that was great. That was fun to cover the awards. I think awards are more important now than ever in Madden with the amount of XP that comes with it. After A. Walker kind of blew the ceiling off and showed us what was possible last season with getting a cornerback with over 100,000 XP. It completely changed the way I drafted and arranged my defense. I put a lot of rookies on there just to hope that I would get one that would kind of go that route. And now I'm curious to see, just how much XP I can get that defensive in. All right, well, now we're going to jump into the reason you're all here, the power rankings. I'll kick the power rankings off. I'm going to start with number 6. I've got Tits at 10-5. He's got the number 8 offense and the number 4 defense with 28 sacks and 33 interceptions. His key wins this season are against the Jags and the Ravens. I still have the Ravens in there as a key win for you're going to see that on some of these teams on my power rankings just because he looks like he still has a pretty decent chance at making the playoffs. Tits could jump up or he could end up moving out of the pick 6 power rankings on my board depending on what happens these next 2 games. Number 5, I've got Browns. I debated on where to put him, but I felt like this was the best spot. He's 10-4. He's got the number 6 offense. He's got the number 13 defense. His defense has 29 sacks and 33 interceptions on the year. His key wins are Titans and Ravens. I put myself ahead of him just because I beat him head-to-head. My record is a little bit better, but arguably he's probably had the tougher schedule. I got myself at number 4 at 11-3. I've got the number 11 offense and the number 3 defense with 50 sacks and 38 interceptions. My key wins over the Browns. My schedule's been pretty soft this year, so we'll see how things shake out. I lost to Cards and Titans and Ravens. So at number 3, this was kind of the more what I felt was a controversial placement. I've got Retro. Retro's 12-2. He's got the number 5 offense, the number 11 defense. His defense has 19 sacks and 39 interceptions. And the reason I put him at 3 is because his only key win is against Ravens. And Ravens has lost more games this year than he normally does. I couldn't find really another impressive win on his entire schedule. Now, that doesn't mean anything. I still think Retro's the best player in the league, if not one of the best. But if I'm going strictly off of scheduling and who everybody's lost to and who they've beaten, I felt like that was an appropriate place to put him. Now, it's worth saying that Cam Newton has been hurt, and I think that's the reason that he's lost 2 games. So, or at least 1 game. I'm not sure if Newton was hurt in his other loss. But I fully expect Retro to actually make it to the Super Bowl and represent the AFC. So number 2, 1 and 2, I really had to think about this one. I put Cards at number 2, even though I think he has the most impressive wins in the league. Cards is sitting at 11-3. He's got the number 1 offense. If you look at his offensive numbers, they're through the roof. It's really impressive. And he has the number 8 defense. Every year in Madden, I personally try to stay in a top 10 offense and defense. I find that that's when I have the most successful seasons. His defense has 13 sacks and 33 interceptions. So he's not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, or if he is, he's not getting a lot of sacks, but he's still getting an above average number of interceptions. And of course, we all know he's a really good user with a linebacker, cornerback, safety, so that he benefits there. Now, where he gets really impressive, there's wins. He's beaten Jags, Tits, Bears, and Cowboys. All 4 of those teams will be in the playoffs. At least 3 of those 4 will be. So, I thought that was pretty impressive. He's probably had the hardest schedule of any of the top 6 teams. At 1, I've got D. Waters. He's 12-2. His offense is the middle of the pack. He's only averaging 21.9 points per game. But to be honest, it's not that big of a difference from middle to, say, like 12, 11, 10. But that's where he is right now. However, he has the number 1 defense. And just like in the real NFL, I think defense wins championships. He's got 22 sacks, 31 interceptions, and his key win on the season is against the Ravens. But you know, I struggled with who to put 1 or 2 with him in cards, but ultimately, I think Packers is deserving of that number 1, especially with how his defense has performed. He loves to play that small ball, so it drains the clock and doesn't leave his opponents with a lot of time to do much. So if he gets ahead, he's typically going to, if he can get ahead early by 2 touchdowns, he's typically going to take the win. So that's my pick 6 power rankings. Wici, I'll kick it over to you, and let's see who you got.
All right, for my top 6, I'm gonna go. I'll start at 1. Why not? So for number 1, you know, I think a guy who maybe I weighted the past a little bit too much, but I put Retro. I think Retro is really good, and I put Retro at number 1 mainly because now that I've beat D Waters, Retro is really the only player that I would say I'm afraid of. You know, Bucks, I think I can, when I'm playing him, I guess, on even ground. No, actually, his fucking team is terrible, and he destroyed me, so never mind. Anyway, Pat's Retro, number 1, and just because he's really good. And if you watch him play, you'll recognize that. He's a pretty damn good player. Number 2, I have the Cardinals, Key. I think, you know, what he did, like you mentioned there with his, you know, fucking amazing offense and defense. And I think he's a very good player. Definitely, actually one of my picks there to win the Super Bowl because Retro seems to implode in the playoffs, or I guess get dad-dicked by Madden whenever he has the opportunity to. Number 3, I actually put the Jaguars, ATL Beast. I think you're a pretty good player there. I think your record shows that. And yeah, I mean, you're just the stats that you have. The defensive players, you know, in particular, just those the numbers they're putting up, and you always have that really good pass rush, which I think is pretty important, especially since the pass rush has been nerfed. So you know, if at least in my, I believe it's still nerfed. I don't follow that the patches really, but you know, it seems like if you can get that pass rush, and you do have that really good pass rush, or you're using someone, or you have a you know, like you're a speedy guy on the edge, and you have that, you know, that difference maker. Then I think that's very important. And so I put you there at 3. Number 4, I'm going to have to give to Canada. It really hurts me to put Canada on at number 4, but he's gained my respect. Definitely pretty impressive what he's doing with that team. And, you know, I remember last year it was kind of a clusterfuck. It's still a clusterfuck, his team, but he's doing big things, which is great. At number 5, I have Bucks. That's because he shit on me with a really bad team, 60 some odd overall quarterback, and he just took a massive shit on me. Though I think Bucks is one of those guys, kind of like I'd say D Waters normally. Bucks is one of those guys who doesn't, he's not fazed by the pressure and the schemes. He kind of just goes out there. He has his game plan. He does his thing. So I respect that. Give him the 5 spot. And at 6, I actually have D Waters. I would rank him higher, but I don't know if you watched our game, but I completely manhandled him. And to be honest with you, I'm not that great of a Madden player. So just the fact that I could just totally dismantle his team like that and just blow him apart like that was just pretty significant to me. So he's going to sit at that 6th spot just because he has the record, but I feel like he has a lot to prove, especially in this league. And that's my top 6.
Dave, comment?
No, I'm just ready to go for my top 6.
Okay.
We'll see what happens on the bottom 5.
Okay, go ahead.
At number 1, I'm going to stick with Retro. I mean, I know he was up there as undefeated as long as I was. I think Cam Newton really had getting hurt really derailed kind of season, but he's still picking up wins even with, I think he has Chad Henne as his quarterback. So I think with his pedigree and still winning a couple games here and there, I mean, he still have only 2 losses. So for me, he's still the best player in the league. Number 2, I have myself. I need to bring up again that I've now lost 2 shutout games due to desync in the with less than 2 minutes in the 4th quarter. So you can take probably 400 or 500 offensive yards off my total and 30 or so points off my points scored. And so I'm just playing hands down the best defense in the league. I think at number 3, I have you Jags. I mean, your defense is stout as always. The pass rush is getting home again, so I think that causes a lot of problems and can carry you into the postseason. People know the edge rush is coming. They'll try to make a couple faster reads or not necessarily wait for their plays to develop. So one turnover can swing the game. Number 4, I have Cards, who he's just been a solid player since he got back from his ER fiasco or whatever the hell happened there. He came back from that season and made the playoffs, and now he's continuing to play well. He runs the ball really well. So I think 4 for him is appropriate. Number 5, have Titans. He kind of plays the same type of defense as ATL, and he really stacks up his linebackers. I think he probably has the best linebacking core in the league. He has a surprisingly lost to Rams, which I don't know what happened there, but I think everyone gets one fluke loss in the season. I know I had mine a couple weeks ago to a vastly inferior player. So Titans is at 5 for me. Number 6 was actually hard. I had 3 teams I wanted to put here. I wanted to put Bucks, Bears, and Browns here, which is weird. They all start with B. But just due to winning the last 3 Super Bowls, I had to put Bucks here. I know Canada's going to be salty about that, but he's going to make the playoffs, it looks like, with a 64 overall rookie quarterback. So I think that speaks volume to his actual skills as a Madden player.
Man, you guys let him back into the playoffs. This was the year to keep him out. We were going to have new blood in the Super Bowl. What happened?
I don't think he's officially in yet, but I think he's probably going to make it.
Who's winning that division? Is Zan winning that division right now, or is he winning it?
He's winning that division.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, guys. Well, great job on the pick 6. I really enjoyed that one. That was probably the most work we've had all the way around put in and thought. That was a lot of fun. So now we're going to go to what, for whatever reason, is usually the hardest one to decide. It's the powerless rankings. I'll kick it off again. I'll just kind of go straight ahead on mine. I've got Texans at 5, Steelers at 4, Raiders at 3, Panthers at 2, and 49ers at 1. Some things that I saw that kind of stuck out with these guys is Texans only has 190 points on the year, and he's given up 357 points this year. That 190 is worse than the league. I don't know what happened because Jungle Cat had a decent year last year, and his offense was fine. I know he made some trades that, as much as he wants to convince himself that getting those good defensive players made a big difference for him, he's given up 357 points, this year, which is not good. So I think he probably, honestly, I think he should trade away some of that defensive talent for offensive talent to try to balance out his team. Next, the Steelers was 3-11. I honestly don't know that much about the Steelers. I haven't seen him play that much this season. He had 270 points scored on the year and 382 scored against him. It hurt me to put Kurtz on this list. I always pull for him as we're 2 of the elder statesmen in the league, but he's 2-12. He's got 213 points on the year and 325 points have been scored against him. Panthers is I don't, Panthers and the 49ers are just bad. You can pick whichever one you want at 1 and 2. It doesn't really matter. So that's my list. Wiki, who do you have?
All right. So it's a bottom 5, right?
Yeah, bottom 5.
All right. So my bottom 5 here, a lot of similarities with yours. I have a surprise guest on this bottom 5 list, though. So for me, I think I have Kurtz. This is in no particular order, just because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, right? No one wants to be the worst.
Pussy.
So we have a lot of millennials in the league, so I don't want to be too abrasive. So I'm gonna say Kurtz's name first, though, because it's pretty bad if you look at it. There, just the what he's done, or I guess hasn't done with that team. Actually, I haven't really looked at the roster, but I feel like his record. If you look at him from last year and from his skill in Madden, that is there. I mean, he's not 2-12 bad. It's definitely a problem there. So he's going to make that list. I have the Colts. I noticed he's not that active. I don't think he comments here sporadically, which is irrelevant. But he just has a bad team. Hasn't won enough games there, and that's a problem if you're trying to make the playoffs or not get a top 10 pick. If you didn't trade your first round pick away. And there's next on my list, I have the Steelers. The Steelers, like you said, don't really know much about him, just that he doesn't win games, and that's what puts him in the bottom 5. Now for my surprise pick, and someone maybe you wouldn't think of, is going to be Karnas, the Seahawks. I think I put him here because I think that team is better than how he's playing with it. We had Billy. I mean, come on. Billy made the playoffs with this team. Billy beat Packers with that team. Now, maybe it's just that team was built to Billy's liking. I don't know. But I'm going to put Karnas on this bottom 5 list because I'm disappointed. And that puts him there. The last person I want to put on the list is Texans, Jungle Cat. And, yeah, with that horrible points for, and even almost just as bad points against. It's just hard not to have him on the bottom 5, and that wraps up my list.
All right, D Waters, who you got?
So I'm going to start with number 32 in the league, Niners. I don't know, he's new, so maybe he's just still getting acclimated to his team and how we play here. But his results haven't been too inspiring. Number 31, I'm going to put Jungle Cat. I just, like you guys said, I just don't know what he's doing. I mean, he just won, his CPU just won a game today and scored more points than he does on the season on average. So I just don't know with him. I think to kind of break up the ranks for a second, I think you guys are right. I think some people make trades thinking this will help out their team, but they backfire. And then they don't want to give up because they made these trades. It should work like this. And I think a lot of people do that. Kurtz might have done that too. That's the reason for his turnaround. But we'll see, I guess, this offseason if any big moves get made. At number 30, I have the Steelers. I don't really know what's up with him either. I played him. And it didn't really go great for him. But he's beat some people. I think he beat Ravens this season. So it's kind of weird that he's so up and down sometimes. Let's see. Number 29, I do have Raiders. I still, like I said, you guys said, I don't really know what's up with him. Maybe he's had some sim losses and some games he couldn't make or something like that. But he's 29. And then at 28, I have the Lions. Being squishy. Whoever the hell else you beat, the Saints, and then getting one lucky win doesn't really get you off my list. Where I had you here last podcast too. So maybe turn it around now. I think you just lost to Jocks again. So who the fuck loses that guy? Maybe you'll turn it around.
All part of the plan.
We'll see, I guess. That's my bottom 5.
All right, guys. Well, that was a great podcast. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm definitely beating Wici next season. There's not going to be any permanently shut out whatever he's talking about.
Yeah, no, actually, the Detroit Lions will win the NFC North from this point forward for quite a while. So I'm sorry to hear about that, Dave.
I guess you can tell yourself that, but
that's what's going to happen. I got my own crib now, got my own situation. No longer living at home, commuting. I'm going to start kicking ass.
Sleep in a crib, that makes sense.
Quick. Well, the only thing I'm going to add is I think the Cards is going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think he's due. He's been a good.
Who didn't see that coming?
So that's my pick, or my little ditty for the end. But it's been another great season in Madden for Madden Scrubs. This one we didn't see as much parity as we did last season. I'm sure you guys remember last season at the end it was a ton of tight races for the playoffs. A lot of people missed out, myself included. I had one game to win, and I would either win my division or miss the playoffs, and I missed the playoffs.
I think that happened to Jocks too.
Yeah, it happened to me in X-Bomb in both the leagues, and thank God I'm set to either I'm making the playoffs no matter what, and I'm set to win my division if I win one game in both leagues. So that's a nice little turnaround. But Wici, it was great having you on the podcast. We'll definitely have you back on. But with that being said, it's another great day to be a scrub. We'll talk a little bit more about Vegas in the next probably 2 months. I've started looking at the hotels and that kind of stuff. Everybody, I think, is still pretty excited about that. But until next time, we're Madden Scrubs.
Doot.
What? Oh, later, guys.
Later. I got homework to do. Sorry.
What you were bringing up with Joey is a real good point, that a lot of people say, oh, I just want to sort of, they're kind of dabbling in the idea of improving themselves. And the real way to do it is you got to write down what the fuck you want and then go after it. Because otherwise you live in sort of a wishy-washy world. You know, if you decide I'm going to get down to bang, I'm going to do this, I'm going to run a marathon in less than 5 hours, I'm going to, you know, whatever the fuck it is, you got to write that shit down and go for it. What I tell people is the best advice that I've ever heard, the best advice I ever came up with, is that live your life like you're the hero in your movie. And right now is when the fucking movie starts and your life is a shitbag disaster, like every fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he wakes up and makes a blender full of pizza and ice cream, and that's what he, you know what I mean? Those guys where they're like on the brink, they put the gun in their mouth and they put it down because they see a photo of their daughter. Pretend that's you. Pretend you are, right now, you're in the part of the movie that starts and it shows you as a fucking loser. And just decide not to be a loser anymore. Live your life like there's a documentary crew following you around and you are analyzing your own behavior. Do what you would want to do so that your kids one day would look back at it and see that documentary and look on it with pride. Like, wow, my dad was a bad motherfucker. He really did what he had to do. Wow, my mom really got her shit together. I love a success story, but even more than a success story, I like a dude who fucks his life up and then gets it back together again story. Those are my favorite stories. And the way to do that, you gotta write shit down. You gotta think that you are the hero in your own fucking movie, and then you gotta sit down and you gotta write shit down. Write down what you need to do.
Most people play the role of the victim in the movie, right?
Sure. Yeah, this life is fucking me over, man. I could have had this and I should have had that. And why does this guy get that? And why does that guy get this? And all things that are completely unrelated to you. All things that you find other people's success is a downfall in your own existence. Instead of being inspired, instead of choosing to be positive, instead of like improving constantly on the direction of trying to achieve whatever the fuck you have written down, you just sit around and spiral, you know? There's nothing more miserable than sitting around somebody's fucking complaining all the time. It is one of the most annoying things ever. Everybody hates it. When someone just sits around and they complain about their life and they don't do jack shit about it. And you tiptoe around it, you don't know what to say. Well, she gets upset when you bring that up. I don't want to bring that up. And you want to go, you fucking crazy bitch, you know what's wrong with your life. Stop announcing it to everybody else and go out and fix that shit.
And that's tough love.
Tough love is what everybody needs,
Absolutely.
me included.